Yo, what's up? Welcome to episode 36 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me as he does every week is my brother from another mother, Woody V. Woods, how's the week been, mate?
Yeah, good, man. It's an exciting episode ahead, and just watched Hustle, man. So, yeah, it was really good.
What did you think?
Yeah, loved it. Could watch it again,
Good.
right?
Yeah, I like it too. It was surprisingly better than I thought. So, nice. Maybe we'll chat about that later. So, all right, well, just a reminder just for everyone to check out the video on YouTube, and please, obviously, like and subscribe. And as always, the podcast is available where all podcasts are found. All right, so really looking forward to today's episode as well, Woods. We've got a very special guest on the show today.
For sure.
This man has played 217 games in the NBL over the last 8 seasons. He is a Hills Hornets junior and attended Oak Hill High School before attending Vanderbilt University. He then played in Europe before making his NBL debut with the Sydney Kings in the 2013-2014 season, where he made the All-NBL first team, which is one of 3 times he did this. After leaving the Kings, he has been with Illawarra since 2015, was team captain for the past 2 seasons, and is currently playing for his hometown and our hometown team, the Hills Hornets in the NBL1. It is with great pleasure to introduce AJ Ogilvy to the show. AJ, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Absolute pleasure. No, really thankful you sort of could come on, mate. Looking forward to sort of, I guess, speak a little bit about, the career and obviously sort of what's coming next and everything like that. So,
yeah,
excellent. All right, well, Woody, do you want to take it away? So just for the audience there, Woody and I said we'd sort of just rock some Aussies in the NBA jerseys for the month of June. So I know you've got one there, Woods, a guy you like a bit there. So, yeah, why don't you tell us who you got?
For sure.
All right, so Woody's just standing up wearing the Utah Jazz number 11 Dante Exum jersey. So, no, it's a nice-looking jersey, that one. I know you're a fan of Dante there, Woods. Yeah, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'll ask AJ as well about his dealings with Dante over the years in a second. But, son of the great Cecil Exum, I grew up watching his father play, and a long line of Americans that came here in the 90s that had children that stayed here, that were born here and were raised here. And then we're seeing that the next generation of those players coming through now. And Dante Exum is one of them. He's now playing in Barcelona in the EuroLeague. Early on, he chose to bypass college, and he was selected by the Utah Jazz with the 5th overall pick in the 2014 NBA draft. One of those guys whose stock was just always high, right? Because he missed out on college, and everyone was mysterious. He had that mystery around him as to how good he could be. But he's had a lot of injuries, and the guy has so much talent. And I'm sure you guys were happy to see how well he performed at the Olympics, and I think he may have another chance to potentially go back to the NBA, and I'd like to see him back in the NBL at some time. So, yeah, AJ, maybe you can speak on your dealings with Dante over the years, and if you guys have crossed paths.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of crossover just because age difference. I think we're at one or two camps together, but he was very young at that point. I mean, I think he was very unlucky after the exceptional Olympics he had not to get a better crack at the NBA I mean, I thought he would. Everyone that I spoke to thought he'd get a good crack.
Sure.
He'd get maybe not a guaranteed spot, but he'd get a look in somewhere. And I think he just didn't get the opportunity that he deserved. I mean, in the past, sometimes maybe the Olympics hasn't been at a level where the NBA would respect it like they do now. But I think, especially this past Olympics, there's so many talented NBA guys there that it should have had a bit more weight behind what he did there. But
yeah,
hopefully he gets another chance.
You saw Jock get that opportunity from some of that play early on in the Olympics, and getting on that Houston roster, probably the worst roster in the NBA. You're convinced that he was going to get an opportunity there, but maybe it's a bad fit, or and with Coach Weaver over there, even then I thought he might get that opportunity. But he's been playing well in Europe, and we wish him nothing but the best. As I said, he's only 26 now, so.
I was going to say, if you asked me this morning how old's Dante, I would have thought maybe 29, 30. I was surprised when you said 26. I've got to say, it does feel like he's been around a while. So, yeah, hopefully we can see him make it back, either to our league here or back to the big league, I guess. But
for sure, yeah.
All right, nice one. I like that jersey, Woods. Well, all right. Well, I'll just talk a little bit about what I'm sort of wearing today. So, got hanging is the black Paddy Mills Adidas Spurs road jersey there. Couldn't decide between the black and the white one there, Woods, so I thought I'd hang the black one up. However, the one I'm going to stand up and show you is probably the rarest Paddy Mills jersey you'll find. I don't think I've seen anyone else in the world, apart from yourself, Woods, that's actually got this one. So I'll just stand up. Maybe you can talk to people through it.
We did order this one together many moons back, Robbie and I. It's the Portland Trailblazers Patty Mills jersey. Just keeping with that tradition of the month of June, where we're wearing Australians in the NBA jerseys for the audience. But brilliant jersey.
Got those ones custom made. What was that, about 12 years ago, was it, I think?
Yeah.
We did the double order from the NBA store together. So
yeah, I got the Patty Mills screensaver on the phone, right?
Oh, nice. All right. So, look, I feel like we have chatted a little bit about Paddy on the show a few times.
Just a little?
A little bit, yeah. I'm not going to go on about him all day, but just a little bit about Paddy there. So, look, he played 13 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted in 2009 at pick 55 out of St. Mary's. So, sure, there's a few of those picks in the second round that people wish they may have taken Paddy. He was also out of the AIS previously, the same path that the player I spoke about last week at Delhi took. Look, Paddy's played with Portland, San Antonio, and Brooklyn. Also played in China and with the Melbourne Tigers during the lockout in 2011. He's got a number of accolades, most notably winning the NBA championship in 2014, leading the Boomers to the bronze at the 2020 Olympics. He was also the recipient of this year's NBA Sportsmanship Award, which is a pretty good effort as well. So, I don't have a bobblehead for him. AJ, I'll try and have a bobblehead of someone I talk about each week. I've always been looking for a Paddy Mills bobblehead. I can't find
one. Hard to find, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Could get a custom made. I think they might have done a stadium giveaway for like an Indigenous round or something years ago in San Antonio. I've seen them sort of come and go, but yeah, pretty expensive one, so I've had to let them go. But yeah, that's Paddy Mills. All right. Why don't we get on to the part that we're all been waiting for, Woods, and have a bit of a chat with AJ. I know we've been really looking forward to that. So, AJ, as you may know, Woody and myself are both Hills locals. We've both been playing at Castle Hill since, certainly myself, the very early 90s. So, look, it is a real honour to be able to speak to someone from the area that has achieved so much. So, again, thank you so much for coming on. Look, what I thought to maybe start it with, I was just doing a bit of reading about this today.
Hey, Robbie, before you kick off things, man, you going to ask AJ something?
It's in the run sheet. I'm not going to ask the first question like I said a few weeks ago, but it's on the run sheet.
No, if he's ready to chop it up.
Okay. Well, Woody likes to sort of say that. So, are you ready to chop it up, AJ?
Right, let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right. So I thought we'd maybe start back and just wanted to chat about that under 19s FIBA World Championships in 2007 when you competed for Australia there, AJ. Look, you had an amazing tournament there, led the team with 22.3 points and 9.8 boards on a team that featured Chris Golding, Cam Glidden, Daniel Johnson, and Paddy Mills. So it was quite interesting reading through that. So you guys finished with an 8-1 record. I'm not sure how much you can remember going back there, AJ. I'm noticing that Brazil finished ahead on the ladder with a 4-5 record. So you guys were 8-1 and kind of finished behind them. There wasn't really anything in the details I could find out that might have explained that. But yeah, what were your sort of recollection of that?
I remember it very distinctly. The one game we lost was the quarterfinal to Brazil. So we won all our pool games, won the first crossover, then crossed over against Brazil. We went down and got a score. So we had an out of bounds quarter timeout. We went down. I actually got a bucket. Put us up 1. They came down. One of our guys kind of fell asleep a little bit, got driven by. Guy shot it off the glass and it went, boom, 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 bounced in. Game over. We lose by 1. So that's the one game we lost the whole tournament. We got relegated to the 5-8 playoff rather than the 1-4. So
that's how it worked out. And I knew there had to be some sort of story. Did that Brazil team have any players that we might have heard of or anything like that?
Nah.
So I know like France in that tournament had Nicholas Batum. I was looking through the US roster there. That very young Steph Curry, Pat Beverly, DeAndre Jordan, Johnny Flynn was on that team who ended up sort of playing down here as well. And
Melbourne,
not doing much in the NBA. Yeah, Beasley as well. So pretty interesting in team there. So what were your sort of memories about that? Obviously you didn't get to play against the US, but what were your memories obviously having a successful tournament for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think we all knew each other so well. We'd all been at the institute together, so we all just kind of knew what the amount of time we'd put into it, the amount of stuff we'd given up to be able to go and play in this tournament. We'd gone to a pre-world tournament in France a couple of weeks beforehand, and maybe like 3 weeks before that, and had won the tournament. So we beat France, who were kind of considered the best team in Europe at that time for our age group. With Batum, and they had a couple of other guys, Ajinka, who'd played in the G League and on a couple of NBA rosters, and then a couple of other dudes, Stephen Jackson, that played throughout Europe, who was really talented. So they had like kind of a bit of a squad. So when we beat them, we went into the tournament thinking, we had a pretty good crack at it, and we liked our pool. I think one of the round games, the main guy from the other team wasn't there, so we cleaned that up. we're doing pretty well, and then thought we'd tidy up Brazil as well and end up in the top 4, but how the cookie crumbles, so they say.
Yeah, it worked out. I tell you what, very hard to find any footage from that tournament. I'm doing a lot of looking today. I think it was, YouTube was obviously around in that time, but it was probably still in the very early days. So it's a little bit like we had Terry TJ Johnson on the show last week. And if you try and find one highlight of him on the internet, I'll be impressed, because there literally is not one thing going back that time. So no TJ rocking tight shorts or anything like that. So
I think you'd have to go and ask the AIS for the game tape that we recorded ourselves.
Interesting.
There wouldn't be any other way.
Wouldn't have been anywhere else. Yeah, it's certainly changed, hasn't it? Now someone would just be able to do it on a tablet or a phone or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was because it was in Serbia, but I don't even think the games were telecast home, because a lot of the parents travelled over with us to watch it. But
okay, yeah,
I don't think it was even like a webcast of it. So
it's crazy, isn't it? I wanted to sort of talk next about your time at Vanderbilt there, AJ. Look, obviously you had a really successful 3-year career there. Certainly a lot of names on those Vanderbilt teams sort of over those 3 years that, certainly are names that sort of probably meaningful for Woody and I. Players like Josh Jenkins, we're lifetime Atlanta Hawks fans, so we obviously know all about Josh's time and everything like that. Also, for other people that don't know, you had Jermaine Dollar-Beal on the team, you had Festus Ezeli, you also had Jeffrey Taylor, the high flyer there. So, what was it like playing with some of those guys on that roster there?
Yeah, it was unreal playing with those guys. I don't know that it ever actually came out, but John Jenkins is pretty close to coming to play for the...
Called him Josh, John, my bad, yep.
Yeah, it's okay. John Jenkins is pretty close coming to play for the Hawks at one point, so would have been unreal to get him out here. But playing with the athletes like Jeff Taylor and those guys and Festus that didn't have a great career when I was there, but then obviously when I left, he started playing a lot more, and they end up winning the SEC championship with all those guys there, and he went on to play for Golden State and do everything he did. So it's definitely.
What about Dollar-Beal at that time? What was he like in college?
Great. Yeah, he was the year above me, so he had a bit more experience. I was captain of the team my junior year. Same sort of game. Shot the eye out of the ball. That's
still your homie, right, Dollar-Beal?
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah. He's retired now, I think, hasn't he? I think he might have retired a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't think he's been playing anymore. No.
Yeah. He probably could have got a job with the 36ers or something last year. He still would have been better than their imports. But anyway, we'll talk about the Adelaide imports later, Woods.
Not you and Adelaide imports again. They've done well. So,
no, that's why I'm going to give them credit. I've put the fork in them all year, but I'll give them some credit now. So, all right, over to you, Woods.
All right. Sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask you something, AJ, and I know you've probably been asked this question before, but look, after that first year at college, at Vanderbilt, your draft stock was extremely high. Like, you were sure to be a first-round pick, right? And then, you decided to stay back, at college for a few more years, and that NBA opportunity didn't arise. What was the reason behind that? And,
I think the major thing was that I wanted to try and come back and, compete for a spot in the Boomers team. I had met with Gorgon through the year. He came over to Vanderbilt and talked to me and told me I had a realistic chance of making the squad. So it was kind of, the way I looked at it, it was either or, just because of the way the camps were and doing NBA workouts, it was kind of either had to go one path or the other. So I kind of thought I'd have another crack at, an NBA job. But might be my only chance at an Olympic spot. So, end up getting cut before the Olympics. But
well, that's awesome. You chose, to represent your country and patriotism over that. And you didn't know at that point that, that was going to be it, right? So
hindsight's 2020. I could have been
definitely
could have gone to the NBA and had a 12-year career, but who knows? Might have got hurt in the first workout.
Sure.
And I could never have played again.
For sure.
It's easy to sit here and speculate about ifs, buts, and whens. But
for sure.
How important was the schooling side of things over there for you, AJ? Was it more sort of the basketball experience, or was the schooling sort of
always the basketball side of things?
Sure.
I went over there and was only really interested in the basketball side of things, to be honest with you. Education comes pretty easily to me. I always found it, not too challenging. So I was able to blow through that side of it. But it was always about the basketball for me.
No, good answer. Well, AJ, I like putting guests and Woody anytime I can, like on the spot sort of thing. Quick question here. So you're currently, at this time of recording, you are ranked 5th all-time in Vanderbilt for block shots. Can you name the 4 players above you?
Festus would be one of them for sure.
Yep.
Maybe Frigi's one of them?
No. So 2 of them are definitely currently in the NBA now. One of them's very long retired, but certainly a name that is pretty historic.
Luke Cornett, one of them?
Luke Cornett's number 1, yep.
Damien James?
Yep. Dammy Jones, yep.
Jones, sorry. Yeah, Damien Jones.
And the last one's the oldie that got a bit of run with the Bulls in the 90s. He must have got a championship or two there.
Will Purdue.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well done, AJ.
Right with that. So when you were there, so Festus was a freshman, was he? When you were in your
so we came in at the same class, but he ended up redshirting his first year. So
right.
he was the year.
It's funny. Woody and I were having a chat about him last night. It's a shame that sort of those injuries he had, because he was really handy for a couple of seasons there, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was always, because he was a couple of years younger than me, like maybe two years younger than me, maybe 2 years, I think, because he's the same age as my younger brother. But yeah, he always had knee problems, and his like body was just always like that little bit older than he actually was, you know?
Yeah.
So he's always sort of managing knees and that sort of stuff. And for some of the players, you know, as athletic as he does, that not being able to jump and play above the ring is going to impact his game a lot. So it was unfortunate he didn't get to, you know, kind of play on after the success he had at Golden State.
No, definitely.
Learned a little bit from our fellow countryman Andrew Bergert as well at his time at Golden State, which is nice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. So look, AJ, after finishing up college, you played for the Bulls in the 2010 Summer League, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right.
What was that experience for you? And do you feel you were close to making that final roster at all? Or?
Nah, I wasn't close. I had a kind of didn't get drafted, so had options about where to go for Summer League, and ended up going with the Bulls because they kind of told me if I come, I'd get an opportunity to play. So I got to training camp, and they ended up bringing a bunch of their G League guys in on top of us. So I ended up, you know, playing spot minutes through the tournament. I actually ended up leaving early to come home for a Boomers camp because I just wasn't playing any minutes. Wasn't really beneficial to me being there. I might have got a better opportunity if I went somewhere else and had a crack there, but wasn't anywhere close to making that roster spot. I didn't get an opportunity to play to, you know, show them what I could do really. But it was frustrating because Chicago was definitely one of my better pre-draft workouts.
Yep.
So I thought I, you know, showed them what I could do and they'd give me an opportunity, but it didn't work out that way.
Fair enough. Something I was interesting to ask you there, AJ. So we know there was another Oak Hill High alum that had success in the NBL, and that was, of course, Julian Kazoo. I know he's a few years older than you, but yeah, just wondering if you guys crossed paths much. Also, if you played any games together at Oak Hill. I was sort of thinking, you know, 2 6'11" guys would have probably been a problem for every other school in Sydney there. But yeah, what's your relationship like with Big Kazoo there?
Yeah, we sure did play some basketball together, mate. We won a national championship.
Okay.
Yeah, so he ended up doing pathways. We did year 12 over 2 years. So he ended up doing his second year, year 12, when I was in year 10.
Sure.
Yeah, so we ended up, playing, all the schools basketball together, which wasn't as big of a thing as it is now.
Yeah.
So we played all that together, and then ended up going down to Albury for the national championships down there and won it. So
good form. Yeah. No, it would have been, like I said, an absolute problem. I mean, I went to Penno High, so we used to play Oak Hill a little bit back in the day, but yeah, there certainly wasn't any centres your height sort of there. Back on the high, because I'm always sort of interested in that stuff. Were you sort of like at your height now by the end of school, or were you sort of still growing a little bit after that time?
I was pretty much maybe I grew an inch or two after school, but yeah, I was pretty much 6'9", 6'10" maybe when I finished school, and then kind of got to 6'11", I guess. So not a huge difference.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Think about Oak Hill College, AJ Ogilvy, Julian Kazoo, Ryan Pappenhausen. You've had some pretty successful sportsmen to come out of our little hood, man. So it makes us really proud, right? So yeah. Well, thanks for that, AJ. Look, just moving on a little bit. I want to ask you about that rookie year for my Sydney Kings, man. I'll touch on it a little bit later and how much that meant to me that year, but it was 2013-14. You averaged 13.1 points as well as leading the leagues in rebounds and blocks, right? And what were your memories of that season? It must have been like dope to make the All-NBL first team, like for the first of 3 times in that first year, right?
Yeah, it was sick. I think it was, it was a good opportunity to come home and play for my home team. I grew up watching, Sydney and West Sydney when they were Sydney around, but watching a lot of Sydney Kings basketball. So to come home and be able to play for them was awesome. I think it was a bit of a tumultuous season in terms of our team. We probably had a good enough roster to make the finals, but end up dropping. We needed to win the last 2, and we dropped the first one, so it kind of shot us in the foot. But yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. Got to play with guys I grew up playing with as well. So yeah, it was a fun year, but maybe not as successful as it could have been.
No, it was a really fun team to watch. We talked offline just before we started this about some of the important changes that occurred in the middle of the year that broke up that bond between some of the guys. But if you look back across many years, that's one of the Kings teams I remember fondly. I'll tell you why, AJ. My cousin Nick, he moved here from London for a year. And then all the cousins here living in Sydney, we decided to do something as a family, right? And we said, let's just go to Kings games. And all the girls were like, nah, we're not going. But from game one, all my cousins, my brother, my wife, everyone just fell in love with it. It just became a thing that we did, right?
That's so good, man.
And my cousin Dish, right? I think in the second game, she's like, I love AJ Ogilvy. I love this guy, right? Let's go get his jersey. And this is what I told you offline. We ran into your dad when he saw her wearing the jersey. He's like, that's my son. And I just want to share my screen with you because she said, Woody, make sure when you have AJ on the show, you share your screen and show him this, right? So I'm going to show you this right here. You probably don't remember it, but
I'm sure he won't remember that.
Of course, he won't remember it. But there you go. You're that young, good-looking bloke right there, right?
Nice.
And that's my cousin.
That's awesome, man.
Cousin Dish, and she said, make sure you tell AJ, thanks for all the good times, and he's the one guy who got me into basketball. So I'd be amiss if I didn't show you that photo, man.
That's awesome, man.
Great story.
That's sick.
I like that one. All right, so I wanted to ask with you, AJ. Look, honestly, we keep reading on NBL free agency articles that basically AJ Ogilvy expecting to retire or expected to retire. Wondering if you want to give us any scoops or whether you're still deciding on what you'd like to do. Where are you currently at with that?
Yeah, right now? I feel like, as per usual, people in the NBL know what I'm doing with my life more than I do. I mean, I'm not expecting to retire. I still think I contribute and play basketball, and definitely not closing the door on it. So waiting to see what opportunities pop up. I know there'll be some. I've already spoken to a couple of teams.
Awesome.
Just waiting to see what's happening, man. I'm definitely expecting to retire is something that someone has said about me, not something that I've said. So
we'd love to have you back in Sydney as well.
Definitely. Or if you want to go to Perth, I'll be happy with that. But honestly, I think I've seen that on 3 separate articles. I'm like, wow, they're obviously just sort of copying it off each other there. So no, it's obviously really sort of good to hear. And you've obviously still got the the hunger and the passion to still sort of be out there, I guess, right?
For sure, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's great. Just wondering as well, AJ, what obviously you want to keep playing sort of thing, but have you thought a little bit sort of into the future and maybe what you want to do after sort of your playing career finishes?
Yeah, I have a few things on the side that I've been looking into. Obviously, would like to stay involved with basketball. Coaching is definitely something I want to do, but I want to do kind of like skill development stuff rather than team coaching.
Nice.
So yeah. That's something I've been talking to. A bunch of my friends work at Julian Kazoo. A bunch of my friends work at high schools in Sydney. So when that opportunity comes up, I'll cross that bridge and explore that. But yeah, for the moment, I'm still waiting and expecting to speak to some NBL teams. So.
And on that as well, I mean, do you remember that game we went to Woods earlier in the year when the Hawks were playing Sydney in Sydney? We were sitting pretty close to your bench here, AJ. And after about the second quarter, I think I mentioned it to you, right, Woods? I said, this is so good to see. Like, AJ is not getting on. You could argue, well, I could certainly argue that he should have been getting on. Who was the first guy off the bench at every time out, the first guy giving encouragement, the first guy, having a chat to players on the team, and that was AJ doing that. And to me, that was just amazing seeing that leadership qualities that he was sort of showing there, sort of thing. I think we saw that, didn't we, Woods? And
absolutely, man. It was so awesome. Yeah,
it was, and that's should hopefully sort of keep you in the league longer. So no, we're definitely.
I'm glad to hear you guys say that because it was definitely something I had to learn to do this year. Throughout my career, I've played a lot of minutes. So yeah, trying to lead and be an example off the bench of a positive guy was something that I had to learn to do. I spoke to a bunch of ex-Hawks guys, ex-captains about how I can do it, how can I engage better, how can I get buy-in from the guys? Because I know how to do it when you're playing minutes. You play your guts out, you talk while you're on the court. But doing it off the bench was it presented a different challenge to me. So yeah, I'm glad it came across the way I intended it.
I really did, and we were both sort of really proud of that as well. So
I guess even speaking to Coach JJ when he was on there, he's a good friend of ours, right? And he was on the show. And we spoke about that to him. As if I asked him, when's Gorge going to get AJ in the game a bit more, man? He's like, yes, that's a good question, Woody. When is he? But just on that, though, you have spent those years at the Hawks and you've been there since 2015, since you left Sydney, right? Mm-hmm. And being that elder statesman, captain on the team, being that like savvy veteran in that locker room, and you were that junior guy initially when you came into the Sydney, we saw that photo, to be able to, give back and do that now over the last few years. It's something that you've taken on board, you've just spoken about, and that must have been pleasing, right?
Yeah, super rewarding. I think when I got the captaincy, I really sat down and thought about how I wanted to lead, and really thought about the captains that I played under, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about it, how their different leadership styles, either like positively affected me or negatively affected me, and what the team took from them as well. Because as a young guy, you hear what everyone says. So, he did this, he did that. I don't like this, I don't like that. So I really tried to take the things I liked from everyone, from my experiences, and put those into play, and tried to set a good example. Tried to make sure that I didn't present any of those negative characteristics. But it was really enjoyable being able to lead, especially this last year. I thought we were a chance to win a championship, but ran into an unbelievable Sydney team. Being able to lead the guys and kind of put all my learning into practice was awesome.
And we saw that as we spoke about, man. Brilliant, and unfortunate, it's kind of bittersweet for you because you do have a soft spot for the Kings, right? So even though
it is tough, man. And I've said to everyone since we played, the only team that could beat us in the playoffs was Sydney. So I think we'd beat Melbourne, we'd beat Tassie. Kings too hot. So it's tough.
All right, so there's one thing I want to ask you, right? And I know we heard it, both Brad Rosen and Body Nodge are good friends of ours, both been on the show before, right? We listen to their podcast every week. And we heard you talk a little bit about your Irish heritage, right? Yeah. So, tell us a little bit more about this. And are you still in touch with those Irish roots? And
my mother's family is 100% Irish. So my grandfather came out on a boat. My grandmother was the daughter of 2 Irish immigrants. Managed to get an Irish passport. Still have a lot of family over there. Haven't been over. I've actually never set foot in Ireland, but it's on my bucket list because my grandfather was one of 8 or one of 9. So a lot of family over there. But over the years, a lot of the Irish families come out here, and I've met them. And so in touch with it, but I would like to go and explore the roots more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nice. For sure. Yeah.
It's certainly interesting when you Google your name and it's something like Australian-Irish basketball. So it's pretty, it's got that on a few things there. But no.
So Robbie, why don't I put you on the spot?
Handy coming overseas, so we're playing overseas.
Who's the only Irish basketball player to play in the NBA? There is one, I think. Yeah.
Really?
I think so. Let me just double check if I'm right.
Could I just say like Pat Connaughton and just claim that because it's an Irish sounding name, or what?
It is Paddy Burke, right?
Who is it?
Paddy Burke from the Phoenix Suns, right? Pat Burke. Yeah, it is.
There you go.
One Irish player to play in the NBA, Pat Burke.
Interesting. I don't really remember him. Nice. Well, look, we really appreciate it, AJ. We didn't go too hard on the questions there. Kept it low key, like I promised. So now we'll get on to a little bit more sort of fun stuff. And not that it wasn't fun before, but obviously the current sort of stuff now. And that's obviously the NBA playoffs that are going on. So thought we might touch base on that and just a little bit on the NBL free agency. So look, I guess at the time of recording, it's Friday, the 10th of June. We're currently 3 games into the finals. Boston holding a 2-1 lead. Just wanted to see from both of you what your thoughts have been on the game so far. Anything that has maybe surprised you? AJ, do you want to take us away with that?
Yeah, I mean, Woody and I were chatting a bit offline about it. I think the final series has been some of the best basketball all year. I was a bit disappointed with especially the Boston-Miami series. 2 great teams. I thought that'd be a more fun series to watch, but it was super disappointing. So to see these games be played out with the intensity and the level of execution that has been going on, I think it's been great. I think I kind of expected Golden State just to roll Boston and run them out of the gym, but to see Boston, step up and play the way they have is so enjoyable.
Hey, AJ, as a big man there, how would you handle someone like Draymond Green if you tried some of his little tactics with you there? Because it's a real fine line that he walks, isn't it?
I think it's one of those things you have to ignore, because if you engage, he keeps doing it, right?
Yeah.
So I think I feel like most of the guys in the NBA know that. Like if you just kind of let him do his little cheap shot here and there, it's fine. If you start going back, then he starts taking it as a personal battle. So you kind of almost just have to let him get his cheap shots here and there and just play through.
Yeah, no, good call. What about yourself, though, Woods? What are you thinking about the game?
I want to echo AJ's thoughts, right? I think the big difference has been Robert Williams being fit, and playing significant minutes. He's been a bit injured. I mean, having Al Horford there is well and good, but Robert Williams has been brilliant. 3 steals, 4 blocks the other day, right? Just a pogo stick, plays great. And even Grant Williams come in, giving them some good minutes.
Yeah.
I still think Golden State's going to win this. I think AJ agreed with me. I say it's maybe 6 or 7. It's that when it comes down to it, it's going to be one way back. They're both going to throw punches. And even if the games go back and forth, that 7th game may just be a home game for GSW, right? And yeah.
I'm still putting my faith in Boston like I did I think at the whole start of the playoffs there, Woods. I just think they've got a lot more two-way players than Golden State. Golden State have got a lot of guys that can play down one end of the court. One guy that's worrying me for them, and I've been watching him closely, is Klay Thompson lately. I mean, we all know he used to be a gun defensive player as well as doing what he does on offense. I've been watching these last few games. Honestly, there's a couple of plays where probably the only word I could use to describe his defense would just be lazy. There's just plays where he's not closing out on shooters in the corner. He's not rotating. And that's not the Klay Thompson we sort of know there. So, I mean, look, he had a pretty good offensive game in that game 3. But like I said, a lot of guys that are sort of doing it down one end, whether it's, guys like Draymond or Looney and stuff like that. I just think these Boston guys have got a lot more guys that can sort of contribute down both ends there. But anyway, really looking forward to the next game tomorrow. I think it's our only weekend game of the series, isn't it? So
pretty disappointing.
Looking forward to watch that one. But no, good stuff. And
as I said before, man, experience counts for a lot. And you look at Kevin Looney, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, they've been here before, They've won championships before, and when it comes down to the business end of the season, that experience does count for something, I think. So
yeah, no, good call. All right, Woods, I'll throw it over to you, mate, just for a bit of an NBL free agency update. And yeah, I know there's been a few moves this week. What have you sort of seen there?
Maybe I'll jump off with the Boomer selections. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, right? Yeah.
Yep, go the Boomers, yep.
So I'll just bring that up and I'll throw over to you guys. Pretty happy my boy Keanu's made the team, man. I told you he's going to be a Boomer one day, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good effort there.
All right, so you want to take us through that?
Interesting team. Well, yeah, I'll read out the names just for people to sort of listen to the audio. So we've got Delhi, Mitch McCarron, Will McDowell-White, Sam McDaniel. We've got Wani, Todd Blanchfield, Clint Steindl, Jack White, Jack McVeigh, Kiana Pinder, Thon Maker, obviously Sam Froling, who AJ played with last year. But yeah, it's a pretty decent team. I don't know. It just feels like it's maybe lacking maybe a couple of real knockdown shooters there. I know you've got guys like Steindl and that there, but just in terms of the guys that might be playing the big minutes. But yeah, it looks like a pretty solid team to me, though.
AJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think Todd's a great shooter. Steindl can shoot the ball. McVeigh can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
You've got guys that can do it. I think, obviously Sam's a big guy. Maybe missing something like an Angus Brand or something like that, like a bit of a banger, would be my only comment on it. I mean, obviously Keanu and Thon are great athletes,
yeah,
so they'll be able to get it done. But I mean, that's the only piece that I consider them. I mean, it's a great group of guys. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, and we spoke about sons of Americans just making it a home for themselves here, and you see both Keanu and Sam McDaniels, whose father's great pedigree came here in the 90s as imports, and we're seeing that trend, followed on. So that's great. And I think it'll be fun, these games. And Matthew Dellavedova will lead that team well, I think, right? So, yeah, Good to see Thon back as well, man.
So Thon will play in that, and then he'll go and sign with the Wildcats. Is that right, Woods? Or?
Yeah,
we've got to get someone that's actually from Perth playing there. So maybe Reith or Thon, get one of them.
Maybe we'll ask AJ about a scoop on his teammate Duap Reith if he's considering, coming to the Wildcats, man. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about that. I'm sorry. I'd love to give you a little bit of a scoop, but don't have one to give. So
all good. Yeah. So let's just quickly go through the NBL stuff. It has been a busy week. So the Taipans have inked a deal with Sam Wardenberg for his first professional playing contract. He was at the University of Miami. He signed a 2-year deal. Know a little bit about him at all, AJ?
I do not.
No,
he's a shooter, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I know he can ball, but apart from that.
Yeah. 208 centimeter forward. Was in the NCAA Elite 8 for the first time, and he was their best 3-point shooter. That's all I know about him. So, yeah. All right. So, okay. Adelaide imports. Antonius Cleveland's there, and from all reports, Robert Franks is pretty close.
Signed this afternoon.
Beef signed this afternoon, did he?
Yeah.
There you go. And I think we got the X-Man Xavier Munford also very close to signing. Right. That's a step up from Todd Withers and Dusty Hennessy.
They must have heard me throwing crap at him every week about those imports last year. But my thoughts on Robert Franks. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on him were, AJ. He really impressed me last year. I thought he actually flew under the radar a little bit. I think he was all NBL third team. Thought he could have possibly been higher there. But yeah, that's a big coup getting those two and potentially Mumford, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think he can definitely go. I think he took a little bit of a while to find his feet in the NBL, but once he did, it was tough to guard. Really, really put points on the board. Was a tough stop at that 3-4 spot. So I think getting him and Antonius is unbelievable.
That's very solid.
And your ex-teammate, obviously playing with him, defensive player of the year. I mean, you just seem like a great guy to have on your team, right?
For sure. He's an unbelievable teammate, just great athlete. Just some of the shots he finishes are just truly incredible to watch. So, yeah, very disappointing to see him not be a Hawk anymore. But, obviously better off to go play somewhere else. And I think it's great to still have him in the league.
He would have been a player that just did stuff in your practices, right? That you just would have been like, wow. And obviously, the public don't see it, but he just would have been doing stuff every practice, I'd imagine.
Weirdly, he's one of those guys that is like a bright lights player, doesn't really do a lot of practice, kind of keeps it low key, and then just turns it on when the bright lights are on and is able just to play out of his skin. So
very cool.
Guys can do it like he can.
And without Dory being there at Illawarra anymore, you're seeing a shift a little bit, right? I mean, how much does Dory leaving have to do with, Coach leaving, Antonius leaving, and the team sort of breaking up a little bit? Are they intertwined, those things?
I don't think so. I think it's more Gorge leaving and maybe not having the pool to recruit players that we did previously.
Right.
I think that has a bigger impact on it. Obviously, Dory stepping aside and taking a back seat in terms of recruiting, and that would have some effect. But yeah, I think it's more to do with the coaching staff shake up than anything else.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see Jacob have that opportunity as well after many years playing second fiddle, right, to Brian. So we wish him nothing but the best. Now, while we're on the topic of sons of imports, the Brisbane Bullets have announced the signing of DJ Mitchell. And Mike Mitchell was one of my favorite imports of all time. Him and Andre Lafleur at the Gold Coast Rollers, Robbie, I've talked to you about them being one of my favorite import duos. But I mean, that's interesting. He qualifies here with that berth in Melbourne for the Brisbane Bullets. So they seem to be putting together a decent roster as well, right? Yeah.
They've been pretty active so far, haven't they? And that's sort of, again, going back to my Wildcats there, it's just disappointing. I'm seeing all these teams, sign all these college sort of players, all these other people, and Wildcats just see them, re-signing a couple of people that were on the team last year. So hopefully they've got a plan in place. But no, it's a good signing for Brisbane there.
Yeah, kind of like Kendall Marshall a few years ago. They've got that Drake UU, the Perth. They've got that ability to play here as locals just because they were born here, right? So that helps out a team. So
yeah.
All right. So Josh Majette, right? Coming back to Tassie. Great floor leader. I know he's one of your favorites. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. They got him for a 1-year deal, didn't they? Obviously, his family sort of moved over here with him. So, no, that's a big coup for the Jack Jumpers there to get him back. Obviously, they've got to work out these other two import spots there, but it's great that, obviously Roth and Majette are both returning.
Yeah, I think it was great for him this year. So, be able to get him back down there, especially, a team second year in the league, often those smaller teams bring great imports in and they get, scalped by other teams. So, yeah, be able to keep him there is awesome for them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, those kind of leadership qualities that you showed, man, in the locker room as well. I'm sure that he would have helped all of those young guys along, that veteran ex-Atlanta Hawk as well, Robbie.
That's right.
There you go.
I'm really, really happy to see the X-Man come back to Sydney on a 3-year deal. I think there's an NBA out clause. I might just throw over to you, AJ. I honestly think, this guy's got, he's a Sean Marion of the NBL, right? He can do a little bit of everything. Swiss Army knife. Will he get an opportunity, man? Will he be able to go to the NBA this year? Is that shooting going to hamper his opportunities?
I don't know. I think it's the same thing. Like you look at someone like, Torrey Craig, who wasn't great in our league. He was a solid import, but went over and had an unbelievable summer league and then got an NBA roster. So I think that big part of it will be if he chooses to go to the summer league and if he does, how he performs there. Yeah, I think he has all the pieces. Hopefully he gets an opportunity where he can prove them.
Yeah, hopefully they don't bring a whole heap of G League guys above him, right? So,
hey, Woods, and dare I say it, don't forget Didi Lazada, mate. He's probably about the 50th best Sydney Kings player I've seen in the last 5 years, and he's currently in the NBA. So I think that's good hope for Cooks there. So.
Sometimes it's just fit and opportunity and timing, and all these things have to fall into place. But I'd like to not see him in Sydney next year and get this opportunity to go. And hey, another son of a gun as well, by the way.
That's very nice of you to say that, isn't it?
Yeah. As much as I love him to stay here, man. And would you say that European out clause is not for the first year, is it?
I think it's not for the first year, so it's only the NBA out clause for that first year. Yeah.
All right. And AJ, maybe I'll throw over to you about Cam Glidden. I mean, he's just sort of been on the way out. I just feel that he's lost it a little bit, and he's got a new opportunity. He plays really well in New Zealand, right? We know that he lights it up whenever he goes up and plays away against the Breakers. He's got that opportunity to go across the Tasman and play in Modi's new system, right? So is this going to be a second coming for Cam?
You hope so. I mean, Cammy's a great guy, so knowing him since the Junior World days. So I don't know if Southeast was the best fit for him. Kind of got recruited with Brokoff. So hopefully he gets a great opportunity to go over there and be a leader and get back to his best form, because at his best he's tough. So
absolutely,
yeah. We always hope for the best for the great guys,
Yeah, you talk about the New Zealand Breakers bringing in guys like, CJ, Daryl Corletto, Jared Weeks. There's always like one Aussie guy who comes on that team and does well. So hopefully he follows that trend with all those other guys that came before him.
You hope he goes over there and performs well, but if nothing else, you hope he continues the history of Aussies, leading over there.
Yep, for sure. And speaking of Southeast Melbourne and not having the right fit, having these multiple point guards on the team hasn't been the best for them over the last 2 years. And it looks like Isaiah Liafa is on the way out and might be heading back across the Tasman as well. Robbie, have you heard that?
I'd say he'd definitely be heading back there. I mean, look, they were pretty honest at the start of free agency. They wanted to build a homegrown roster. They've got a few coming back there, and I think that's just a formality with that happening there. But
I think that's got announced today, didn't it, that he signed?
Yep, did it? Yep.
Okay.
The New Zealand did? Yeah.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, no.
I was scrolling Instagram before we jumped on the call, so I'm sure that was just announced.
Oh, definitely then. I'm going to believe you on that, AJ. And then finally, Kawhi Noi, man. Really, really happy because I think the guy's got a lot of talent. He had NBA potential in that rookie year. And maybe coming to Sydney and being in that system with under Chase Buford's tutelage, he can do a Wani Swakala Bullock.
Tell you what, he's not short on confidence, Kawhi Noi. I heard him on the NBL1 show this week. He's a very confident guy. So obviously that's a good thing there. Hopefully that gets him back and elevates him. Because he was second in those rookie of the year. Like LaMelo won it, he was second. RJ Hampton was third. So pretty good company to be.
Rookie year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
and injuries and a little bit of conditioning issues and stuff over the last few years have hampered him. But coming into that Sydney system where he's going to get looked after and a great front office and hopefully some nice mentors there. It's a good opportunity for him. So I'm excited to see him come and
it's a good signing.
Play at the queue. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate that free agency update, Wood. So, all right, before we get on to just the opening the pack of cards that Woody loves each week, we'd just like to do a little quick chat on the NBL1. So, look, what I'll sort of do each week, AJ, is just talk a little bit about one of the conferences and just sort of talk about how it's going. So I thought obviously this week I better talk about the NBL1 East. So I normally like to read out some of the sort of the name players that are playing in this comp. So round 9 in NBL1 East, which is New South Wales and one ACT team. We saw names such as Indiana Faithful, James Hunter, AJ, Ben Kieran's, Patrick Sanders, your boy Woods, Anatoly Bose, Kieran Haywood, Lachlan Cummings, Lachlan Hutchinson. I've got to say, I was calling him my favourite NBL1 player. Obviously, AJ's my favourite now, but Kiwi Gardner, that guy, seriously, he is an absolute problem, that guy. So, and Lucas Walker, of course. So I heard Peter Hawley talking about Kiwi Gardner on that NBL1 show, saying he might potentially get a couple of tryouts with some NBL teams there. I think he seems to me like he might be one of those players that's probably way too good for NBL1 and maybe just not quite good enough for NBL, just given his size there. But look, if anyone can do it, he can. I mean, he's just a relentless competitor out there. Have you seen much of him, AJ, down in the Gong?
I've seen bits and pieces. I've heard a lot of people talking about him, and kind of same report. The only thing that would hold him back is his height, which you know.
He's pretty solid though, I've got to say. But yeah, the height's going to be a factor there. But I swear he gets about 6 steals every game as well. So he's very active on the defensive end, as I'll just let my cat out of the room, as you do. All right. So, yeah, just wanted to, obviously, the standout team so far after 9 rounds look to be Canberra and Newcastle, who are both 8-2. I know for the games I've covered for Hills, they have played Newcastle, and they were quite strong. They're yet to play Canberra. It was a pretty tough weekend for the Hills men and women, wasn't it, AJ, last week against Norths? Obviously, the
wasn't great.
The men and women went down there. What was your take? I mean, obviously, that's the second game you've played now since going back to Hills. How have you sort of found the 2 games so far?
The first one was good. Second one, I kind of went over and hurt my back, unfortunately. So it wasn't at my best. But I think as a group, we weren't as our best either. We
Had you played with any of those guys before, AJ? Are they all kind of unknown, sort of new people for you?
Yeah, I grew up playing with Paul Brotherson. Dave Heyman I played with a little bit. Most of the other guys are that bit young for me to play with. But
Brotherson's pretty solid, isn't he? I like the sort of damage he does on the court there. Yeah.
He's a southpaw, right?
Yeah, that's right. What about Ben Kieran's? Because he was on the Kings roster for a couple of years.
He
I
was
think,
a
a few
DP
years
when
ago.
I was at the Kings there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He looks good. Well, I saw him play his first game back. He looked maybe a little bit out of shape and a bit slow, but he seems like he's got a little bit better each and every game after that.
Yeah.
So I think with him sort of coming good and obviously yourself there, I mean, I think the Hills team could definitely move up the table there. So always like giving a Lauren Jackson update. Albury had another win last week. She got her usual 35 points and I think it was 7 rebounds and an 11-point win for Albury over Sutherland there. So that was actually good at the battle of the two Laurens in that game. So no, obviously I think Albury are going to be right there as the season comes along. So, well, as we mentioned, AJ, I'll certainly be covering those games. I know you're not going to be playing the next Hills home game. It's certainly some of those games in July. I'll be looking forward to seeing you coming down the court. I'll make sure I rev it up and get excited when you do something good. So
I'll be there, man, when AJ plays his game, and then you're going to be calling it on the mic. So I'll
be
there.
Woods, those night games, they've got a bar as well out at Castle.
Geez, you have to say that, man.
Well, they did. So I know they'll lock you into getting there. So yeah, that's
all right. I'll have a beer. Come and watch AJ and you. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's get on to this last part, the classic pack. So
yes.
This is the part of each show, AJ, we finish off with, we open an old pack of NBA cards and see if we can kind of remember any of the names there. Woody does carry on a little bit when we do the segment there, so hopefully he's...
I've got a really special pack today, and I think...
a giant pack, right?
AJ, you might have been young, 7 or 8 when these came out, but these are the long cards.
Oh, yeah, the long boys.
94, 95, right? This is as classic a pack as I can get, man. So I don't know how I'm going to fit them into my folder, right?
No, they won't fit in that folder. You need special sleeves then.
All right. And as I always say, don't be greedy. We know your shit, Robbie, but leave some for AJ, right?
All right.
And so I'll just give a clue, AJ, and talk a little bit about who it is, and you guys tell me if you know. All right, man. Love this guy. In fact, in one of my rap intros, I dropped his name in a track. Okay, that's a bad clue for AJ. He played golf with Michael Jordan on the Bulls. Was a LA Clipper, Cleveland Cavalier. He wished that he was guarding Michael Jordan on the Craig Elo shot, right? He even said it on the Last Dance. Give me Mike, man. And coach was like, nah, Elo's guarding Mike.
We might see this guy's son in the NBA, I think, in a year or two as well, right, Woods? So,
yep.
Yeah, other than the Ohio Flyer, Ron Harper.
Ron Harper.
Jeez, they are big cards, aren't they?
Yeah, you want to have a look at the back? Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Look all right.
Okay. Career high of 47 points, I think it is. Played for the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Walking bucket, 6'7". Second round pick of the Phoenix Suns in 1990. He was acquired by the Lakers in an off-season Cedric Sabalas. Yeah.
We've had his card a few times, haven't we? Yeah, he doesn't have his blindfold on for that dunk. But...
Yep.
Nice.
I'm not talking about Sam Bowie. I'm talking about Orlando Magic's
Anthony Bowie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a blast from the past. Yeah. Any of these ringing a bell for you, AJ, or not?
Ron Harper, obviously, but
obviously not Anthony Bowie. That's a little bit obscure.
Sam Bowie of draft fame, but not Anthony.
Yeah. Just thinking, I think you just missed him, but his son was a Sydney King, maybe just before you. All right, comes from high pedigree.
Is he a twin, possibly? Or?
He's a twin, right?
Good old Harvey Grant, right?
Harvey Grant. I think Jeriah Grant was just before you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. I think that was the Moose Rebellion teams, maybe with. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. This guy is awesome. In fact, his brother has, in theory, agreed to come on our show at some point. Ooh. Okay, comes from a family of basketball pedigree. Their father was one of the greatest, shot an underarm free throw. This guy has just moved into the media. His brother actually played for the Sydney Kings in the 90s. Yes, close. One of the brothers.
Don't know the other one.
Brent Barry's brother, John Barry.
John, nice. That's 2 connections you've called back to the Kings there, Woods. That's good for him.
Yeah.
He was all right, Barry. He played for John Barry. He played for Atlanta as well for a little while there.
Yeah. He could fill it up off the bench.
He could.
Okay. Philadelphia 76ers forward, 7th pick overall in the 88 draft. I'm not talking about the big 7-footer that shot a couple of 3-pointers off the bench in Game 3 versus the Sydney Kings, Jock Perry. I'm talking about
Tim Perry.
Tim Perry.
Nice. He was a high flyer too. He was in a few dunk comps, I think, when he was with Phoenix back in the day. No big names in this pack so far. Woods, can you pull out like a name for us?
Okay, I'm pulling one for you right now. I know it's a name, but you wore his double jersey on the show a few weeks ago.
Ooh,
all right.
Really?
Syracuse's finest. Referenced on Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Billy Owens.
Big fan of Billy Owens.
Very
Loved his
underrated.
game back in the day. Yeah, definitely.
Very underrated. Yeah.
Still not a star though, is it?
No. All right. This guy was, he was a fly wide boy, man. He could dunk. He could shoot the threes. He then got in a bit of trouble for stealing iPhones and stuff. Had a lot of problems post-playing career. We've talked about him a lot. Tom Gugliotta's teammate.
Rex Chapman, right?
Yes. Rex Chapman. In fact, saved Tom Gugliotta's life. Right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
He was a quality player, Rex.
All right. When you talk about the New York City point guards, right? And I told you, one of my favorite little guys of all time, okay? Left-hander, okay? Played for the New Jersey Nets in this card. Played for a few other NBA teams. People heard about him, years before he made it to the league, right? Georgia Tech.
No, not Brandon Jennings. Then. No, that's way too early, isn't it?
Kenny Anderson.
Kenny Anderson, of course.
Kenny Anderson.
Love those old Nets jerseys as well. They're always good, those ones.
Yeah, I've got a Derek Coleman in that very jersey. You got that one as well, right?
I got Coleman and Anderson, just to one up you. Yeah.
I got a Petrovic, man. So there you go, right?
Nice. You got Kerry Kittles though.
Oh man, you're the only one with the Kerry Kittles jersey, man. Right?
Yeah.
All right, I've been looking for that one for years, AJ. All right, this guy, great coach. Unbelievable coach. You remember him being the point guard on those Duke teams with Christian Laettner, AJ, right? Okay, this guy was the man. Then he had a car accident. His NBA career never amounted to much. Leave this one for AJ. I think he can get this one, right? And then
point guard.
Legit point guard. He played with Grant Hill and Christian Laettner on those great Duke teams. And then in that dream team, practice match versus the college guys, he tore it up in that first game. They talk about that great game where the college guys beat.
Right, this is too far beyond my knowledge. I have no idea.
Bobby Hurley. Yep.
Yeah. You're going to give me $1 million, I wouldn't have got that one.
All right. Okay. This one you can get for sure. He works on NBA TV, Phoenix Suns, Philadelphia 76ers, the mound of rebound, I think, was it?
Oh, Charles Barkley.
Yeah, Charles Barkley. And that's a special insert card there.
Is that Hero something? What is that?
Yeah, Hero. Slam Dunk Heroes. Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Sir Charles. Yeah.
Well, that's a star, I guess.
Yeah, that's a star. Jay Humphreys, Utah, man. This is underwhelming pack.
Yeah, that was all right. At least we gave those giant cards a go, right?
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate that, Woods. All right. Well, that sort of pretty much takes us to the outro now. So, look, just before we sort of do the formalities, just wanted to really thank you again for coming on, AJ. It's great to sort of...
No stress, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Get to meet you and stuff. And no, it'd be great to sort of, come out and say good day when we see you out at Hills in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So, look, just as I mentioned at the start of the show, everyone, please make sure you like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Wherever you listen to your podcast, please make sure you like and subscribe there. Just a reminder where we can be followed. On Twitter, we're at Throwbacks Hoops. Instagram, we're throwback.hoops. And our email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Woods, why don't you want to give you a shout out for your couple of things there?
Yeah, just Patreon. We really appreciate everyone jumping on and pledging their support for us. If you'd like to do that, please do so.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate that, mate. And, right, AJ, I just wanted to see if there's anything you wanted to sort of plug or promote or anything else like that out there. Or...
just the Mighty Hills Hornets, baby. Let's go.
Nice. We'll certainly do that. Hey, I wanted to ask you as well. I know you're big on your NFTs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I'm an old man that doesn't really know much about that, but just tell us in like a minute or less what that all means.
Basically, you buy an image online and hope someone else wants to pay more for it than you did. Is the elevator pitch.
Is that working or?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the market's taken a bit of a hit. Like everything has stocks and all that's taken a massive hit. But the ones I have, I have pretty high conviction in. They all got real world utility. So hopefully, once the market bounces back, I'll be back up again. But right now, down bad, just like everyone else.
Okay, no, fair enough. All right, well, no, I just really appreciate you both coming on. Just wanted to shout out an early happy birthday to AJ for next Friday. Enjoy your week off with the NBL1 and going away next week, and
definitely
we'll obviously see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good, guys.
Just wanted to thanks everyone for tuning in, and peace out from the Throwback Hoops crew.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.